Hey listeners, we're nearing the end of our 15th anniversary fundraising campaign, and we need your help to meet our goal. This campaign offers you a chance to win a unique food and music experience in one of the most exciting cities in America. Here's how it works. Donate to HRN and you'll be entered to win dinner for two and 2 tickets to a concert in one of 8 amazing cities: New York, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Nashville, Las Vegas, Charleston, Ardmore, Pennsylvania, and Asheville. All donations support our work educating food system storytellers. And when you donate, you can choose one of those cities and you'll be entered to win dinner and 2 tickets to a show. So help us reach our goal and enter to win dinner and a show in the city of your choice. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15. Thank you.
Today's program has been brought to you by Cane Vineyard and Winery, a Napa Valley winery committed to respecting the soil and dedicated to the creation of 3 Cabernet blends. For more information, visit cane5.com.
Hi, this is Celia Kutcher, host of Animal Instinct, and you are listening to Heritage Radio Network, broadcasting live from Bushwick, Brooklyn. If you like this program, visit heritageradionetwork.org for thousands more.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Heritage Radio Network. We are coming to you, as always, live from the back of Roberta's Pizza here in Bushwick, Brooklyn. And you're listening to The Farm Report. I'm your host, Erin Fairbanks, and today we're getting a little cheesy. We're going to take you on a tour of Essex County here in New York State as they prepare for the first Essex County cheese tour. We are joined to kick off the show by Laurie Davis, who's the coordinator for Adirondack Harvest. Laurie, welcome to the show.
Hi, Erin. Thanks very much for having us on the show today.
So, what is Adirondack Harvest?
Sure. Just briefly, I'm the coordinator of Adirondack Harvest, and it's a program of Cornell Cooperative Extension in Essex County. Our goal is actually to connect Adirondack farmers and consumers, both in the Adirondacks and outside, with education, marketing, and ag support. We give them a logo that then they can use to identify their food as being produced in the Adirondacks. Essex County's experienced a real explosion of new and young farmers over the past 10 years, and we're really enjoying the benefits of having a wide diversity of direct market local foods up here.
Yeah, no, it's definitely exciting. So Essex County, it's made up, it's 13 areas within the county, is that right?
Well, there's about 13 counties within the Adirondacks.
Within the Adirondacks, that's what I'm, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, with at least a portion of the county within the blue line that demarks the Adirondack region.
And one of the phrases I liked from some info I was taking a look at is the working landscape of the region. Can you talk a little bit about what that means as it relates to agriculture?
Sure. One of the charms of the Adirondacks is that so much of the land is either used for recreation or for agriculture or lumber, and that was one of the original visions of Adirondack Harvest, was to keep the land working, keep the beauty and the vistas that everyone enjoys when they come up here in active farming or some sort of working profession, so that we can all keep enjoying this land.
Yeah, and the landscape was funny. I was at a meeting earlier in the week where one of the producers at the table said, we don't want to let, what happened to New Hampshire happen to New York. He's like, they got rid of all their pasture land, and now it's just trees. Everywhere you go, it's trees, trees, trees. None of the beautiful kind of scenic vistas that I think we're so lucky to have here in New York State. Well, Essex County Cheese Tour, give us the broad strokes. Where did this idea come from? What can people expect, and how do they learn more?
Sure. We're really excited about this tour. As far as we know, it's the first of its kind up in the far northern reaches of New York. We do know there's an annual cheese tour in Washington County, and that was the source of our inspiration. But we've been waiting for sort of a critical mass of artisanal farmstead creameries here in the North Country. And this year, Essex County actually hit 3 creameries, and in my book, 3's a tour. So the creameries actually contacted me. They're all members of Adirondack Harvest, and we just put this together in the late winter. Just by coincidence, these 3 creameries have established themselves in a neat little arc. So it's a perfect little driving distance, only about 15 miles or so from North Country Creamery to Asgard Farm and Dairy, and then another 10 miles from Asgard to Sugar House Creamery. That's it. So we just packaged it up and decided on a tour date of Sunday, October 12th, which is right in the middle of Columbus Day weekend. And we picked this date hoping that folks from out of the area might want to make a weekend of it. There's plenty to do in the Adirondacks, and it's right in the middle of the sort of peak foliage season for the Champlain Valley and the Adirondack foothills. Both Asgard Farm and Sugar House Creamery offer farm stays, which can be really charming, and so we're encouraging people to book a stay if possible. So at least for this first year, this will be a self-guided drive-yourself tour. We don't have any tour buses, and the farms will be open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on that day, and you can visit the places in any order, whatever people feel like. They'll be giving farm and or creamery tours, depending on the farm, plus giving out cheese samples, and this is all free to the public. But in addition, each farm will have a farm store with the cheese for sale and other local farm products. Many of them coordinate with other farms to sell local products. And then another part of this tour will be prepared foods at each one of the farms. For example, Sugar House Creamery will host the Clay Hearth, which is a new food truck out of Keene that produces wood-fired pizza in a renovated horse trailer. It's pretty cool. And they'll be using local cheese on their pizzas, along with other local ingredients. And then at Asgard Farm, we'll have a Paul Smith college professor come down. He's a chef, Kevin McCarthy. I believe he's bringing some students with him. And they're going to be creating gourmet grilled cheese sandwiches with 2 different kinds of cheese. And then North Country Creamery has their own cafe that just opened this year called the Clovermead Cafe. So the chefs there will be showcasing the cheese in several different ways. And so these are all extra things that will be for sale, but you can do the whole tour for free. And that's really it in a nutshell. But for more information about the tour, you can go to our website, which is AdirondacKharvest.com. And there's a click-through banner on the homepage, which will just take you right to the cheese tour page, or you can get there from a drop-down menu under our events and projects tab. There's also a PDF of our brochure, so there's a file there if people want to look at our brochure that can't get to one, as well as a Google map to help you locate the farms. So we really hope we can entice some folks from outside the Adirondack region up here to take our beautiful cheese tour and spend some time taking in all that our region has to offer, especially the local food.
Oh man, Laurie, you are kind of wetting my whistle down here. We're gonna move to a short break, and when we come back, we're gonna get a chance to talk with all of the cheesemakers that you outlined here at the top of the show. And I want to thank you for kind of coming on and giving us the nuts and bolts, and I'm looking forward to connect with the cheesemakers. In the second half, I will probably also be on Hotwire looking to book a rental car. So job well done, Laurie. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Erin.
Okay, hang tight. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more cheesy talk.
This is Chris Howell from Cane Vineyard and Winery, calling in from Spring Mountain above the Napa Valley. Thank you for listening to this show. In our industrial world of highly processed food and wine, we support the values of Heritage Radio Network. All of us at Cane encourage you to seek out individuality and beauty in everything you eat and drink. To learn more about us, go to cane5.com.
Hey, my name is Betsy Andrews, executive editor of Severa Magazine, and I am hanging out at the coolest, most delicious place in the world, heritageradionetwork.org.
All right, we are back. You are tuned in to the Farm Report, and we are continuing our very cheesy talk. We are on the line with an old friend, Rhonda Butler of Asgard Farm and Dairy. Welcome to the show, Rhonda.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
So I am super excited to hear a little bit more about what's been happening up at the farm. But I want to start, for folks who are not familiar with you guys, with a little bit of background info. Can you give us kind of broad strokes about the production and the work you guys do up at Asgard?
Well, the main thing that we do here is we have a herd of dairy goats, and we milk those goats here on the farm and produce cheese here on the farm. We are milking 44 goats right now, and we produce a variety of goat milk cheeses, fresh chev, of course, and then we do a couple of soft ripened cheeses that are in the tradition of France's Loire Valley. We do a raw milk feta cheese, Greek style. We also do a raw milk tome. We call it a Sable Valley tome. That's adapted from a goat milk tome from the French Pyrenees. And just recently we introduced a new cheese. It's a goat milk Gouda cheese. And in addition to the goats, we have a variety of other livestock. We have beef cattle herd, and we also raise heritage breed pigs and broilers, and we have laying hens, and we just started a small garden enterprise this year. So basically, the centerpiece of what we do is the goat dairy and the cheese, and then all of these other activities are linked really to that, we have a a lot going on. We have a lot of balls in the air.
Yeah,
here,
it sounds like you have a lot
busy.
of balls going in the air. Well, I think it's so interesting, that you say kind of all those other, animals and then the vegetable operation are kind of linked to the cheese. So maybe let's break that down just a touch. I know that, with goats in particular, parasite management is always a concern. And I know having like multi-species on a farm can help with that. But maybe you can tell our listeners a little bit about kind of how that works on your operation.
Well, sure. I guess first we were we started raising pigs mostly because whey is a byproduct of cheese making, and one has to do something with that whey. So we happen to have a very good pig breeder in this area, a breeder of heritage breed pigs. So we get feeder pigs from him every spring and raise them largely on the whey that we produce from the creamery, in addition to grain that we get from a local farmer. And then we move them through the pasture and the woods surrounding the farm. The cattle herd, our farm was out of operation for many, many years, and so the fields needed to be rejuvenated and brought back. We started a beef cattle herd because of, in order to help bring the fields back, and also because they happen to work well in terms of multi-species grazing with the goats. Cattle are dead-end hosts for parasites that are harmful to goats and vice versa. So if we work the rotational grazing properly, those animals can clean the fields for each other. Similar thing with the layers. I mean, we have the layers following the cattle by a few days, and doing that, when they do that, they are able to distribute the fertilizer that the cattle leave and also ingest the insects and all the goodies that happen to exist in the cow pies and everything. So they help clean the fields as well. And the broilers, it's a similar thing. I mean, they do it on a smaller scale because they don't move as much. But we find that trying to work out that puzzle of having all the animals moving through the pastures at the right time and in the right order really keeps the pastures productive and clean and healthy for everyone.
Oh, man. And then it sounds like you guys probably have the ultimate spot to go and have dinner at, kind of like picking from the best of all worlds. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of the Essex County and the Adirondack region and give folks a little sense of, why this area is seeing a resurgence in cheesemakers. There are the 3 creameries that we're going to talk, yourself and the 2 other creameries that we're going to talk to today. But I wonder if you can kind of illuminate on, kind of why cheese for that region and what makes kind of a cheese from Asgard vis-a-vis the Adirondacks kind of, different than, some of the recipes and the techniques that you're using, which are, as you mentioned earlier, French.
Well, I think the cheese making boom, if you can call it that, in Essex County is part of a more widespread boom in farming in general in this part of the world. I mean, when we first, my family first landed in this area in the late 80s, and farming was not as active and there weren't as many farms making as many products as there happen to be today. So, I think that as people have come to understand what the shortcomings are of some of the farming practices that exist today throughout the country, there's been a new interest in farming and a new interest in farming, the small scale farming and natural farming, and so that trend has hit this area in general, and dairy farms are part of that. So we're fortunate to have 3 dairy farms in Essex County today.
And what about like your cheese that you guys are producing on the farm? Do you have a sense of, kind of what the terroir of your particular space is bringing to the cheese? I think in particular when we're talking about, fresh Chev, it's like such a simple product that it really allows you to really just taste the milk and taste the pastures. And maybe you can talk a little bit about kind of what you're seeing in that cheese and if it's changed at all as you guys have been doing work restoring the pasture since you started back in 2008.
Right. Well, I think that, our area is, our particular area, we were surprised to find that we have pretty good soils here. We've been working on them, to improve the fertility and improve the forage mix for over 10 years now. So I think that we generally have plenty of rain, and the growth of all the forages is pretty good. We also have, in the case of goats, which like to browse as well as graze in the pastures, we have woods surrounding all of the pastures, so our goats have the ability to go back and forth between our pastures and our woods, and we have very good quality milk from moving them around like that. The flavor of the milk, is always very subtly influenced by by what they're eating on any particular day. It's not, and I would emphasize subtly influenced. There's not a great variation in the flavor of the milk. Our goat milk is, I don't know, it's almost like a milkshake. It's ever so slightly sweet. Mm-hmm. You almost get this, when you drink the milk, you almost get this sort of sense of a milkshake, actually.
That sounds delicious. And so I'm excited for folks to get up and sample kind of the variety of cheeses and check out your farm. And I know, like, one of the exciting things one of the interesting things I'm looking forward to sharing with our listeners is that actually all 3 of the dairy farms that we're talking to today are actually at your place. So I'm going to ask you to pass the phone on over to Ashley from North Country Creamery at Clovermead Farm, and we'll kind of continue our cheese talk with her. But thanks so much for joining us, Rhonda.
Well, it's great to talk to you. Yes, and actually Stephen is here today from North Country Creamery, so great. I will turn it over to him.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hey, Stephen, it's Erin down here in Brooklyn. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Erin, thank you so much. I'm an avid listener, so it's great to be on.
Awesome. So you and your partner, Ashley, are kind of new to the cheese-making business. As I understand it, you guys are just starting your 2nd season. Is that right?
That's correct, yep.
So what brought you to the cheese-making world?
Well, personally, I used to have a little black market raw milk ring back in the day, but I wanted to come to the other side and do it the right way, and so we wanted to focus a large amount of our sales on raw milk, and so we and I believe the other 2 creameries on the tour are all certified to sell raw milk. But, you can't do just that, so we also make yogurt and a variety of aged and fresh cheeses.
And unlike Rhonda and her team at Asgard, you guys are working with dairy cows, correct?
We are, yep. They're 100% grass-fed dairy cows that actually the bulk of our herd, the initial cows that we got came from Tim Joseph of Maple Hill Creamery's cows. And he used to farm, and I believe he's just doing the creamery end of things now. And so we were really excited to find his cows because they were 100% grass-fed and also once-a-day milked, which we also do. And so, last year we did twice-a-day milking, and they just weren't prepared for it yet. I think that due to the move and just forage differences, they were better off with twice-a-day milking. But now we have the luxury of once-a-day milking, and I think that being 100% grass-fed, it really lends itself to that.
Also lends itself to a slightly more relaxed lifestyle for you and Ashley, I'll bet.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, and we also have an intern this year, so she's been helping us out a great deal. So, compared to last year, it's been, it's not totally relaxed, but we're able to do a lot more.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things of note for your particular farm is you guys decided to put a conservation easement on the land. I wonder if you can just give us kind of broad strokes of the property and the operation. What's kind of the look and feel there, and how many animals are you working with?
Yeah. Well, so we went through Open Spaces Institute, and they're based out of New York. And I think they're a national organization, but we really couldn't have done this without their support. And so we're milking 19 cows right now, but all in all, from their offspring, we've got 35 head. So we've got the yearlings from last year, and this year's heifer calves, and we're actually raising a couple bull calves for veal, or maybe they'll stay around with us a little bit longer. And so we're doing that all on 112 acres, but only 50 of that is tillable. So there's a lot of woodland that we've taken advantage of for timber, but we're really sustainable in using that stuff. And so the conservation easement also dictates that we should continue using this property for agriculture, and we're not to clear land, and which we're not about anyway. So it's really good to just know that if we ever weren't on the land, which we plan on being there for forever, then the land will remain in good use. So
that's excellent. So when one decides they're going to start a cheese making operation, I'm just curious if you can talk a little bit about how you chose what cheeses to make. And in particular, what I want to highlight here is kind of the time factor. One of the things I think about starting a cheese operation is, how quickly you can turn that kind of milk in the quote-unquote bucket into, a cash flow for your farm, and how that maybe dictates the mix of cheeses that you choose and that you choose to explore over time. So can you give us a little insight into how that process worked for you?
Yeah, well, we started up in an already established creamery. The previous owner, Sam and Denise Hendren, they had the creamery there, and the parlor was already set up. And with the exception of some equipment and tools being gone, it wasn't hard for us to get on the ball and rolling. The only real issue was having all the cows calve out around the same time. So we were dealing with the issue of pretty small vats in the beginning, and we chose to go with a variety of cheeses just so that we could diversify, and we figured there'd be a larger customer base, more interest in our products if we had a lot of different things available. And so that's not always the best way to go, because especially for beginning cheesemakers, you're going to run into your problems dealing with all those types of cheeses. But Ashley had landed a mentorship program through Northeast Organic Farming Association of New York. That's a 3-year program. In the first year, it was great. We were able to hire Sam Hendren, the previous owner, to show us the ropes, and he was able to get paid through that. And it also paid for books to really get us off and rolling. So we can still call him, text message him, and he's there whenever we need him. And this year we hired Peter Dixon to come out for a day of consulting, and we'll be able to go out to his place at some point this year to finishing up with that consult.
Wow. So sounds like you guys were able to take advantage of a lot of the existing infrastructure on the actual property, but also, resources that were available to you within the community. And I'm wondering for other folks who are listening out there and are interested in starting to think about pursuing a similar operation, how did you guys know about that stuff? How did you do it? How did you kind of get in the loop to be able to take advantage of those kind of opportunities?
Yeah, well, honestly, I wish Ashley was here to fill you in with the nitty-gritty with the Open Spaces Institute and all of that. But she honestly took the reins when it came to that. She was already doing that prior to us being together. And once we were together, I knew that I wanted to pursue this with her. But, she was given a lot of support from the folks at that institute, as well as the previous farmers were really wanting to sell the land. So I think they were going for several years without many good leads trying to sell the place. So they were looking to move to a nearby town, and knew that, with Ashley and myself going onto the farm, they were happy with, they got fair market value for their place, and that was all the help through Open Spaces Institute.
Oh, so sounds like taking advantage of some good resources and being in right time and right place, and then picking a good partner. Nice job.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I looked out there. And, another amazing thing is that there was a farmhouse on the property that we were able to rent out, and that's a good source of income for us. And there was a 3-season apartment above the creamery and the milk house and the parlor that we knew that we'd want to live there so we could rent out the other place. And, so we winterized it. And, that's how we were able to be creative. But there are really so many opportunities out there for people to either lease land or just to get creative and take advantage of all the resources there are out there for beginning farmers. But, there is a lot of stuff to read and a lot to take in, but, we were given good guidance.
Oh, man, that's really inspiring. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to fill us in, and I'm excited for folks who are going to get a chance to stop by and taste some of those great cheeses.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I'd like to add that we've got a cafe on our property that we opened up. I guess I should mention that was another benefit of this place, is there was a building already on site, and that was operated as a cafe, and we didn't have the gusto to get that going last year. We just operated it as a farm store, but when folks are coming by our place, they'll be able to take advantage of the food that we offer there that's from local farms and creameries. And, and down the road, we're in a nice little niche in that we've got 2 veggie farms, a meat farm that has that do sustainable grazing, and they've got a taco truck, and they do sausages, and we've also got a brewery that just opened up. So it's a really nice little niche community.
Oh, brother, that sounds awesome. We are going to take just a short station break, and when we come back, we'll be on the line with Margot Brooks of the Sugar House. So hang tight. You're listening to The Farm Report, and we'll be right back.
We're thrilled to announce a special event, the Silver Snail, 25 Years of Slow Food. This event is hosted by Slow Food USA, Heritage Radio Network, and Roberta's Pizza. It's been 25 years since Carlo Petrini and a group of activists launched a peaceful revolution to defend regional traditions, good food, gastronomic pleasure, and the slow pace of life. The slow food movement has since evolved into a comprehensive approach to food that recognizes strong connections between plate, planet, people, politics, and culture. Today, this movement involves thousands of projects and millions of people in more than 160 countries worldwide. Join us, for a dialogue between Slow Food's founder, Carlo Petrini, and locavore activist Alice Waters as they reflect on the evolution of the food movement and all things slow. Friday, October 3rd from 11:30 to 2:30. You can go to our website and click on the link on the right-hand side of the page to RSVP. We can't wait to see you there.
Hello, this is Mark Ladner from Del Posto, and you're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
And we're back. You've tuned into the Farm Report, and we are taking you on a little virtual tour of Essex County. Our last stop on the line with one of my favorite cheesemakers, Margot Brooks of Sugar House. Welcome to the show, Margot.
Hi, Erin. How are you?
I am doing great. It's great to have you back on, and I'm excited to hear how things have been going up at the creamery.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be on.
So why don't you give us, you guys are also kind of new to the area. How did you end up in the Adirondacks?
Yeah, we are super new. We are the newest of the three of the farms on the tour. We ended up here just over 2 years ago now. We were in Vermont before moving over across the lake. We were working on a farm. When I say we, I'm talking about my significant other, Alexander Eaton, and myself. And we were in Vermont working on a farm down in Rutland County called Consider Bardwell Farm. And we spent just under 5 years there, myself as a cheesemaker for about 2 years, and then together managing the farm. And eventually just got the itch to go it on our own and try to start our own thing. And our land search started in Vermont, and then as we got kind of discouraged by land prices and saturation of cheesemakers, we ended up expanding our search into New York State, where I grew up, and but particularly the Adirondacks. We went to school up here and loved it. Always loved this area, and ended up finding this little farm where we are now in Upper J.
So, was not a turnkey operation. Can you give us a sense of what you guys had to do to get the space ready to make cheese?
Yeah, the property we found was it's just over 22 acres, all open pasture land, and it's actually right in the town of Upper J, which is a tiny little hamlet, but we're on town water, and we are we're surrounded by neighbors, but we are our own little agricultural enclave. And this property had been sitting on the market for 4 years, and it was actually in a short sale, so there was a bank that was holding the property. It's like a step before foreclosure, basically. So no one had been living there for 4 years. The water and electric hadn't been turned on in 4 years. The lawns or the property hadn't been maintained or mowed or anything in that time, so it was pretty overgrown, and the buildings were still in good shape, but everything was just starting to look pretty dingy and pretty run down. So it took about a year for us to get everything, just in working order, and then create all the spaces, within the existing barns where we could milk cows and make cheese and age cheese. So we just got started actually milking and making cheese in December of this year.
Now,
December of last year.
So when you were at Consider Bardwell, you were working with goat's milk and goat, and then you guys were also buying in cow's milk. Why did you decide to go with cows over goats for the creamery?
We, at the time that we bought this property in Upper J, there was only one other cheesemaker in the area, and that was Asgard Farm. Rhonda and Dave, who you heard, Rhonda was on the phone earlier, and they were making goat cheese up here, and our property, we're only about 5 or 6 miles away from them, and so one reason was that they were already here making delicious goat's milk products. Another reason was that the farm itself was kind of, although it hadn't been in operation in a long time, it was already set up pretty much for cows. So there were some, existing infrastructure for cows, and fencing was a big thing. If we had decided to go with goats, we would have had to invest a lot in bumping up our fencing, and the perimeter of the property had already been fenced in a long time ago, so we were able to make do with what was already there if we went with cows. And then one of the things we wanted to offer as a product was raw milk, and we thought that raw milk would be, raw cow's milk is a little more in demand, I think, than raw goat's milk in general. So we ended up making the decision to switch to cows.
One of the interesting things I know from talking with you is you thought pretty carefully about kind of the scale of the operation you were looking to have and how that might impact your lifestyle. Can you talk a little bit about kind of what went into making that decision of kind of the volume of product you were looking to produce and where you were hoping to retail it and how that kind of was shaped by your past experience and how things are kind of working out now that you have 8 months under your belt anyway?
Yeah, sure. We came from Consider Bardwell, which is a pretty large, in terms of artisanal cheese and farmstead cheeses, it's a larger scale operation. They have nationwide distribution, and some of the bigger, in, I believe, Whole Foods is one of their accounts, and they make a lot of cheese for a artisanal farmstead operation, and one of the things that means is that they have a lot of employees, and we being one of them, or two of them, and I guess we, working there, kind of came to realize that we really loved farming and the lifestyle, working with animals, working outside, just the diversity of tasks and the challenges that you get to face every day. They're just exciting and fun and diverse. And but we didn't relish the idea of having employees and having to manage other people. So we really wanted an operation that would be manageable with just the two of us. And then we also knew that we didn't really want to spend a ton of our time marketing products and exporting them from the region where they were produced. So we kind of thought that this farm would be that small scale, but just by nature of the land base, it's a small land base, so we could only have so many milking animals there, and but it's perfectly situated in a region where there's a lot of tourist traffic, basically 3 seasons out of the year. So we thought it would be a perfect place to sell our product as well. And so far that has been true. This will be our first real winter, trying to eke out a living in the winter, and everything slows down. There is a pretty good ski crowd and ice climbing crowd that comes to the area in the winter, but it definitely slows down a lot. So we'll see how it goes. Well,
I know you guys are producing 4 different types of cheeses right now, and they're listed as original varieties. So can you take us through the cheeses you're making and what makes them original and what that kind of means for a cheese?
Sure. Yeah, we make 4 different cheeses, and 2 of them are made with pasteurized milk. And when you make pasteurized milk cheeses, you don't have to age them as long, and you have a quicker turnover. You can sell them whenever you want to, really, once they're pasteurized. If you make raw milk cheeses, you have to, by law, age them for 60 days before they're legally ready for sale. So we make 2 raw milk cheeses and 2 pasteurized milk cheeses. Our pasteurized milk cheeses are softer. One is called Little Dickens. It's a little button, weighs about 8 ounces. It's hand-ladled cheese, so the cheese is, the curd sets up overnight. It's a lactic cheese, and which is a higher acidity cheese, and it gets hand-ladled into these little round molds, and then ripens in our cave for about 10 days. It gets a nice little white, kind of bloomy rind, penicillium rind, and then we can sell it. So it's just a nice, fresh-tasting cheese. We call it a little milk biscuit. It's just super creamy and lemony. It's really nice paired with something sweet like a honey or a jam or fruit. In the summer, it's really good on fresh greens or a salad of some sort. And then our other pasteurized milk cheese is called Pound Cake. That one ages a bit longer than Little Dickens, about 30 days. It gets a nice white rind, but we actually let this bloomy rind get mottled with some wild molds that are just ambient in our cave. So it has kind of a speckly mottled rind, and it's kind of, I guess the most similar to a brie that we make. And then we have 2 raw milk cheeses, a Troubadour, which is a semi-soft cheese made in a 3-pound tome and washed with beer from a local brewery that just got going very recently. Actually, they just got their licenses all through, and they've opened their tap room, and they started filling growlers at the farmers market. They are called Ausable Brewing Company. We're happy to be able to collaborate with them and wash our cheese with their beer. And then our 4th cheese is called Dutch Knuckle, and that's kind of our signature cheese. It's this big, hearty, Alpine-style cheese. It is a mountain cheese, and we're here in the mountains, and our cows are brown Swiss cows, which are the kind of cows you'd see if you went to the eastern Swiss Alps. And this Dutch Knuckle cheese is the kind of cheese you would eat if you went there as well. It's based on an Appenzeller recipe, so it's got these nice kind of fruity sharp notes up front, and then a nice nutty caramel kind of sweet finish. So,
yum! Thank you so much. I'm so sad we're out of time, but it was really great to kind of hear a little bit about the cheeses and what's been shaken up at the farm. I really appreciate it, Margot.
Oh, thank you so much, Erin, for having us, and I hope we get a crowd up here for the Essex County Cheese Tour. We're super excited about it.
Me too, and I want to give a special plug for the Sugar House Creamery's Instagram feed. Definitely worth a follow. And for folks who want to find out a little bit more about the Essex County Cheese Tour, definitely visit AdirondacKharvest.com. They have all the information there on the tour, the farms. You can get links to them there to find out more. If you can't make it up for the tour, definitely put them on your fall calendar and check out those cheeses. Thanks so much for tuning in. This has been another episode of The Farm Report. This show, like all 39 of our weekly programs, is available for free. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher Smart Radio, or visit our website, www.heritageradionetwork.org. We are a member-supported nonprofit organization, so if you believe in our work, please click that donate tab and become a member today. Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned in.
Thanks for listening to this program on heritageradionetwork.org. You can find all of our archive programs on our website or as podcasts in the iTunes store by searching Heritage Radio Network. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at @heritage_radio. You can email us questions anytime at info@heritageradionetwork.org. Heritage Radio Network is a 501c3 non-profit. To donate and become a member, visit our website today. Thanks for listening.
I want to tell you about a new podcast called Amuse News. Publishing multiple days a week, Amuse News is your source for food news, interviews from around the food world, and more. On the show, we'll be engaging with food storytellers, from chefs to advocates to people working in the field, and many more. Find Amuse News wherever you get your podcasts. Amuse News is a destination for everyone who's looking for a new, insightful look into the world of food.